So the final game before the tests. The invitational side of the British and Irish Lions play the invitational side of Australia and New Zealand. And funnily enough, with a lot of people thinking that the test side was picked midweek against the Brumbies, a lot of players put their hands up and said, I probably should be starting in this game. It was a complete performance shown on the scoreboard. 0 for Australia, New Zealand, AUNZ, and 48 points for the Lions. But that's not the complete picture. The complete picture is that all of the criticisms that we've had throughout this entire tour so far, handling errors, penalties, not physical enough, all of those were put to bed in one performance. The physicality was there. They were competing at every single ruck, maul, breakdown, turnovers and tackles, constantly making a nuisance of themselves, slowing down the ball for the opposition, which is quite surprising that they managed to do this against this team, considering they've struggled against club teams, domestic teams up until this point. The handling errors were pretty much erased, which was amazing to see. It feels like this attacking system is really just coming into its prime, right at the right time. And yeah, I mean, without further ado, let's talk about some of the players that I think have probably put their hand up and said, I should be at least considered within this test team next Saturday. I think for starters, I think Schumann probably at loose head. I think Stewart played much better at tight head, but I think Furlong or Beelam's probably the starter. Second rows, I think James Ryan and Ty Burn played better, but I still think that, the second rows are going to be Itoje and they're going to be Joe McCarthy. Looking at back row, I think Jack Morgan has basically put his case forward and said, I will be starting 7 for these 3 tests. I don't care what anybody says, I will be starting at 7 for all 3 tests. That's what Jack Morgan has said today, and is what he said against the Tars as well in his performance there. Number 8, I think, is probably sorted with Conan, but it's this 6 shirt. And I keep going backwards and forwards about this 6 shirt. I think Chesham played excellently against the Brumbies in that 6th position. And for me, it felt like it was kind of solved. But then, Ben Earl played really well today. And then Henry Pollock, say what you want about Pollock. He's raw. He's untested, whatever. Today was one of those performances where, yes, there were some mistakes. But he's kind of like the Mac Hansen version in the forwards. Do you know what I mean? He's everywhere all at once, and he's a little bit different in terms of kicking and chasing and, being in the action at all times, always being involved. And I would not be surprised, I would want him to be playing in that 6 shirt for the first test. And I think it's a mix of things. I think it's a mix of that, you haven't had... This isn't like... 6 isn't the strongest position for this Lions tour. Through the entire thing, I've not been like, he's the best 6 available, he's the best 6 out of all 4 nations, or he's like the best 6 in the world. But there's not someone that's really of that caliber within the team. We have second row converts coming into play 6, like Chesham or Byrne. That 6 has just been a question mark. And because of that, what solves question marks is decisive play, confident play, and what is Henry Pollock if nothing else? I would just spin the wheel. Put him on the pitch, stick him at 6. I know that the limiting factor in that, and I'm not stupid, I do know this, the limiting factor at that is if you don't put a Byrne or a Chesham in that 6 shirt, then you're kind of forced to have a second row replacement on the bench because Pollock can't play second row. I just think as an X factor, someone who does something different, who adds a little bit different, put him in the starting lineup. Ben White, he's not going to be starting in the tests, but I've said this in previous videos and I'll say it again in this video. I think he's a better option on the bench than Alex Mitchell is, and I'm saying that as an Englishman myself that wants to see Alex Mitchell get some test starts and get some test caps. The reason for that is that Ben White is such a good complement to all the players around him. He's a glue guy. And that's like rah coach talk. But what I mean by that is that his play elevates and enables all the players around him, Whereas Alex Mitchell is, and Gibson Park's like this, but Gibson Park is just the best in the world at doing this other than Dupont. He's the star of the show, he's the decision maker, he's choosing everything. Whereas Ben White is just reliable for both his kicking game and also getting the ball out incredibly quickly to alleviate the pressure on everybody else. He's just going to do everything well in terms of passing. He's not going to be the decision maker. He's going to get the ball out to other people to make those decisions. And as a change of pace of guy that you want on the bench, I think Ben White's perfect for that. Fly half is a tricky one. Not for starter. Finn Russell's earned that. But it's who are you putting on the bench? You know, Marcus Smith has been the perennial bench player through this whole tour. And the more that I'm seeing that, and what I've kind of thought about today is the reason maybe he's on the bench is just because Andy Farrell wants him to be used to the bench in the tests. That's what you're going to be used to. You need to be used to coming on, be effective for 20 minutes, be either playing 10 or 15. He came on at 10 today for Finn Smith. So I feel like Marcus Smith probably is that guy. That's what he's been trained to do. Centres, Tuipulotu played amazingly. Hugh Jones played amazingly. And I've had complaints about not having enough time of Tuipulotu being played with Ringrose and Aki being played with Jones. But I just think for consistency in that back line and how well Jones played today in attack, I just feel like the centre partnership needs to be Tuipulotu and it needs to be Jones. Wingers, Mac Hansen, I think excellent. And okay, guys, this is going to sound a bit random, but bear with me here and bear with my thinking. Next time you watch Mac Hansen play, whenever he has ball in hand, I want you to just start singing the Pirates of the Caribbean anthem. It goes together like peanut butter and jelly. Like it has increased my enjoyment, if it needed to be increased at all, of watching Mac Hansen play. But on a serious note, wingers, Mac Hansen's great, but I don't think he's good as Freeman and Lowe. And what Duhan van der Merwe offers in attack, aka 3 tries today, he takes away in defence. I mean, he must be frustrated with himself because he is, under the high ball, he just seems exposed constantly. And I just don't think you can have that in a test team, unfortunately, for Duhan. For all the attacking ability that he has, you know, you just can't take that risk. And Freeman and Lowe feel like better choices. Hugo Keenan, I think, you know, given Kinghorn's injury, this was a much better performance for him when he came back from the Waratahs. But you've got to bear in mind that Waratahs game was like his first game at any level of rugby for about 2 months. So, you know, I think Keenan's probably got that 15 shirt unless Kinghorn comes back from injury. So if we're going through the team there, in terms of what I think's best, I think we've got Pollock, we've got Morgan, we've got Earl probably earning a bench spot, White making a bench spot. I think we've got Jones probably taking that 13 shirt. I think Tuipulotu was the 12 anyway, so I won't kind of include that. And then I think we've got Keenan in that 15 shirt. That's 6 players today that I think have changed their status of test side material and being involved in the squad. So that I think the performance was that good. But yeah, I mean, that's just my opinion. And I'd love to hear what your opinion is in terms of the test team or whatever. Going to keep it short this week. Get prepared for the tests coming up. Get some other content out to you. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it wherever you were.